Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Your Fave Film Critic, the podcast starring, produced, recorded by your favorite film critic, me, Dom Griffin. This week on the podcast, we've got a lot to talk about. We actually don't have a lot to talk about this week. I watched like 3 movies, and there's some like stuff that happened in the news. We have like one question, so this might be one of those weeks where I just end up like just riffing off in various directions. So if you're a fan of those episodes of the show, you're in for a treat. And if you're not, I will see you the next week. Something exciting happens. So before I get into like all the news items I wrote down to talk about, I want to talk briefly about the TikTok ban stuff that's going on. Like the House of Representatives passed a bill that's supposed to like ban TikTok if the company is not like divested from the Chinese people that own it or whatever. I'm gonna be very honest. I have not read anything about this story beyond the headlines and in the posts where like content creators who depend on TikTok's platform are like losing their minds. And then also people being like, TikTok's dying. Share your favorite TikTok for engagement on other platforms, you know, that type of stuff. So, but I talk about TikTok a lot for a person who is 37. And part of it is like, my usage of TikTok as an app, if it were on a graph, spikes whenever I am up past 11 p.m. So what happens to me is that my work schedule is kind of weird. And sometimes when I stick to more of like a 9 to 5, 10, whatever, like type of schedule, I do still stay up late. But like I force myself to go to bed if I have to get up early the next day. And I have a little bit of discipline. But if I don't have to be up really, really early for something, I stay up very late. And like luckily I have friends at the West Coast, so like I'm not always like out of people to talk to. But I just hit a point in the night where like I don't want to interact with anyone. I don't want to talk about anything. And like a smart person this would be a great time to like read a book. This would be a great time to like, I don't know, like write some affirmations for the next day or journal or what have you. I don't do that. I hit a point in the night where I'm like done for the night as a human being. I'm done being a member of society. And I just open up TikTok and I scroll until if I reach a point in the night where I've scrolled past like 10 videos back to back on the My For You page, in the sense like 10 videos in a row were not hitting for me, I go, all right, time to go to bed. Like they're out of content. They don't have anything good for me tonight, so I'm going to bed. And it's bad. It's like an unhealthy thing. So like lately, I have been working a lot more nights than usual, and I've kind of been complaining about it to people. And people are like, "Don't you make your own schedule at your job?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, I do." But it's just sometimes other circumstances cause me to have to work in a way I don't want to work. You know. And that sucks, but it is what it is. It's just being an adult. But if I get off like at night, I'm, you know, even if you're tired, like you're just a little bit wired when you work late. I feel like anyone who works like nights ever like understands like this. Like you go, I'm tired, I'm gonna go right to bed. You don't go right to bed. You're done. You're not done. Your brain's not done doing things. Or if you're afflicted the way much of my generation and the generations after me are, there's not enough screen yet. You haven't consumed enough screen. You know, I'll close my MacBook shut and like, okay, big screen's over. Time to go to the small screen, pull my phone out, you know, and it's not good. I'm not trying to glorify this wretched lifestyle. But last night, after, you know, reading the news about the TikTok stuff, I was just scrolling like normal. I didn't really care. And I had made it to the point where it was like 2:30 in the morning. Okay. And I hadn't seen anything that I was like funny or interesting or relatable or whatever. I was like, okay, I think we reached the end. It's 2:30. It's time to go to fucking sleep, man. You're a grown man. Go to bed. And randomly, I remembered a specific TikTok. I had like a flash of it, like a quick, like, oh, like this just burned in my mind for a second. And I was like, that was a funny TikTok. I want to rewatch that. And I thought I had it like saved or something. And I went through a bunch of like my saved folders in the TikTok app. You know what I mean? maybe other people don't have that, but like, you know, I like separate like oh, this is like funny movie content. This is like funny music or whatever. This is like this and stuff. Or like if I don't want to bombard certain friends with a bunch of TikToks at once, I will save them to like a their name folder. And then later, if we're bored, there's nothing going on, I'll go like, oh, I got these in the cut. I'm going to share these videos now. And I'm sorry, I'm really opening my podcast with this like weird confessional, but, I thought I had this TikTok saved and I was like, I'm going to find it. No big deal. And I went through like a bunch of stuff in like my folders and I couldn't find it. And I couldn't even remember where I would have like filed it and I couldn't find it. And, then I was like, maybe it just got deleted. Cause a lot of times like TikToks just get deleted or like the sound gets copyrighted. Various things happen, nothing is forever on that platform, obviously. Like, you're if you're going through a bunch of ones you saved, you'll see a bunch of ones that are deleted and you're like, oh, okay, well, those are like the ghost of TikTok's past. So I'm like, maybe, because I thought I'd seen it recently. I'm like, didn't I just rewatch this recently? So I was like, maybe it's on my phone. Maybe I saved the video and it's gone on the platform, but I have a copy on my phone. So what the spoiler of this is I went to sleep 1 hour later and I spent that hour trying to find this fucking TikTok. Okay. It had no importance. It wasn't like relevant to anything. Nothing triggered me wanting to see it other than it just popped into my head. Okay. It is a video. I'll describe it in like very plain terms. It is a video of a young man driving a car and he is teary-eyed and painfully singing along to a sad song. Then it cuts to him in a different outfit, cheery and smiling, singing along to an upbeat song. And the juxtaposition is timed very well, and his facial expressions are really humorous, and it just makes me laugh. I just like it a lot. I'm a fan of the timing and the structure and the everything about it. I'm not about to fucking every frame of painting a TikTok right now. Like, I'm Tony, and this is every frame of painting of a fucking TikTok. But I wanted to fucking find it. I was like, I gotta see this. This is driving me crazy, but I couldn't remember the guy's name. Like, it's not like, I don't know, like if you like YouTube content, chances are the people who make videos you like, who they are, or what channels you like. On TikTok, you could really like a bunch of someone's things and not remember who the fuck they are. Do you know what I mean? Like the branding is just not there for a lot of these creators. So I went through this, like, you can understand, my night turned into Zodiac, essentially. Like, I was Jake Gyllenhaal trying to fucking find the killer. And first I was like, okay, first up, I don't actually know either the two songs. So I have to figure out what these two songs are. So I had to start by just Googling the lyrics from the songs because I wasn't very familiar with either one of them. And then I'm going to tell you the two songs. You're like, you didn't know these two songs? I'm like, I didn't know these two songs. The sad song was Giveon's song Heartbreak Anniversary. And then the upbeat, like fun, happy song was Taylor Swift's Mean. I was not familiar with either of these two songs. I only knew the little portions that the man is singing along to in the car in the video. So, my next thing was like, I'll just like fucking, first of all, I'll just go through like the TikToks on my phone, and then I'll just kind of scroll through like in the Photos app until I see a preview image that looks like a guy in a car. And I had to stop on a few different guy in a car videos that were not that. The funny thing is I even found one that was the same concept, and it was a completely different person singing a completely different song, and there was no cut to the happy part. It was just a video of a guy like showing how funny it is when you're sad and singing the music. But it wasn't as funny, and I don't remember what song it was, and I didn't like it as much. And I was like, this isn't it. This didn't scratch the fucking itch. I need to take a rake to the lizard brain at the back base of my skull, and I can't do it until I find this fucking video. So I just start searching on TikTok, like white man crying Giveon. And here's the thing that's very funny, is that immediately one of the first videos that came up was this creator. Okay, this exact guy instantly came up from white man crying Giveon. I was like, okay, great. I guess there's not that many white people that sing along to the song on the internet. And I was like, this is the guy. Cool, I found it. This is perfect. And then I opened the video, and it is a different fucking video of him emotionally teary-eyed singing along to Heartbreak Anniversary. And I was like, why do you have more than one fucking video doing this? What the hell? You gotta understand, going into this, I thought whatever that video was, I thought the creator was just like a sort of like a generic humor, esoteric humor shit poster type channel, whatever page, and that this one video was like a joke that was about music. And that it would be, you know, that would be a video that he had, and then his other content would be like all over the place, like some people's are. But then I go to the guy's page, and like, no, like 84% of his videos are him in the car singing along to songs. And I found like 15 of them that are him singing Heartbreak Anniversary specifically. And I was like, okay, well, I guess that means that like he must have made this from two of his singing videos. So I'll just have to find, and I did find the one where he's just the video where he's singing Heartbreak Anniversary, the one from the video I saw that had like the best facial expressions, and to me was the funniest, like the most like nakedly, amusingly emotional. And then I'm like, now I just gotta, I guess, because then now I'm thinking like, I could probably just fucking stitch this together myself so I can go to bed. Like, I know it sounds crazy, but I need to fucking do this. And it made me think about a few weeks ago. My friend Pat in our group chat texted me asking for a specific meme, like it's like a meme from the movie Good Time, and I didn't have it on my phone. I was like, I don't have this meme. He's like, motherfucker, I saw you sent it to me. You have to have this meme. And I was like, but I don't. And I took like a half an hour looking for it, and I did end up finding it. But by the time I found it, he was like, I just remade it myself at that point. So I thought to myself, like, I have to be like Pafif here and just make my own fucking video. Like, I can just stitch the two TikToks together in CapCut. I will watch it, and then my brain will be quiet, and I can go to bed. But then I couldn't find the corresponding Taylor Swift video. So now I had to go White Man Crying, Taylor Swift Mean. And it turns out there were a lot of that. Actually, it was very hard to go down to that. And I mean, then I was, oh wait, I know the guy's name now. I'll search his name in this, and that didn't narrow it down either, because he's like a big Swiftie, and I don't know how big his following is, but I guess he's Australian. I have to add as well, so it's extra kind of funny. He looks a little bit like a beardless Jermaine Clement. Like if Oliver Reed had like a less attractive little brother or something, and he I guess he's a big Swiftie, and like all of the videos about him and Taylor Swift were that I guess at a show she gave him the bracelet or whatever the fuck. I'm not going to pretend that I know how Eras Tour lore works or whatever, but that's what it was all like. Oh my god, you love Taylor and this happened. Oh my god. I'm like, this isn't fucking helping me. I don't want to go down this fucking rabbit hole. So I just kept just searching various permutations of words and stuff and just scrolling a lot. And then like, I actually got to the point, and this is kind of crazy, where I was just like, fuck, I can't do this. This is like, I started to really look at myself from outside myself, and was like, you are a grown man. You are 37 years old. It is the year 2024. It is March, and you are in bed at 3 o'clock in the morning on a Tuesday night, a Wednesday morning. This is not, you don't need to do this. You are better than this. There is a person inside of you that is a towering inferno of energy and passion and knowledge, and that person doesn't need to be doing this. And then like 40 seconds later, I found it. I found the actual video. I found it, the real one, and I figured out that the fucking the key thing, the key phrase I needed that would have helped me find it. I couldn't remember what the text over the joke was, and the text was just duality of man. If I had searched that duality of man, it would have come up instantly. But I went down all these other bad rabbit holes, and it didn't feel like I won. It didn't feel like, like I accomplished something. It felt like when the detective solves the mystery at the end, but he's dying, like as he's dying, the person whispers in his ear what really happened, who really did it. And he's like, okay. And then he just drifts off. Like I'm Ryan Gosling on the snowy stairs in Blade Runner 2049. Like, okay, it's over. So yeah, I went to bed at 3:30 this morning because of TikTok. So maybe Congress is actually onto something. Maybe this isn't some like bullshit. Maybe they should fucking stop this, just for my sake alone, me personally. Oh my god. Let's talk about the news. So the Oscars were this weekend. Sunday was the Academy Awards. And I'm actually not going to talk about the Oscars as much as I assumed I would this week. Like I said last week, I had planned to make a video about all the Best Picture nominees, and then I didn't. And a lot of it is like over the years, I have cared less about the Oscars, a little bit less every year. And this year, it's not like I didn't care about the Oscars or I have a problem with the institution or anything like that. It was literally just that, like, when I saw the nominees, I was like, I like a lot of these movies. I don't actively dislike any of them, really. None of the movies are like that bad. And there were people who I thought were great this year that did not get nominated or that did not win things and stuff like that, obviously. But nothing was like offensive. Nothing made my blood boil. And I think that so much of Oscar discourse, Oscar conversations, Oscar hype comes from, it has to be fueled by some kind of dissatisfaction. And I'm just not, I don't, like, it's, again, I'm not saying I don't care, I'm above this, or I'm too cool for this. It's not that. It's like, I still care about the Oscars. I mean, I pay attention to this shit. It was just like, there's nothing to get, what do I get worked up about? And like, in the day leading up to the Oscars, and then the day after the Oscars online, I saw like a resurgence of discourse that I thought was like over, where people were getting reworked up about certain things. And I was like, we did this months ago. Or why are you caring now? We talked about all these things, you know? So the only thing that I was like, oh, that's bullshit, is that Lily Gladstone lost Best Actress to Emma Stone for Poor Things. And I don't want to say that Poor Things sucks or that Emma Stone sucks or anything like that. I just thought Lily was really great, and I think that she should have won. That's all. Nothing deeper than that. Not about to go on a think piece rant about white actresses and stuff like that. It's just literally, I just thought she was great and she was really fantastic. I thought my thought going into the Oscar season was, it's never been clearer to me or more obvious to me who should win an award ever. You know what I mean? Like, this just felt so right. So to be wrong was like kind of a bummer, but also just like the deepest thing that bothers me at Academy Awards is not when the wrong person wins or whatever, or the right person wins for the wrong movie or anything like that. It's really when someone is nominated for a movie in a role that is so good for them and they're so good in it that you sort of know it's very unlikely they'll ever get a role this good ever again. And the person that beats them is someone who it's not even their best role, and they're definitely going to have more opportunities to have roles of that stature again. The best example I can think of for this is I remember being in a friend's bar, like on Barracks Row in DC, the night of the Oscars that I think it's the year Heath Ledger won Best Supporting Actor. I think this is the same year anyway, which is, people always talk about that year being sort of a big turning point for the Academy Awards because of The Dark Knight not being nominated for Best Picture, et cetera, et cetera. But I think that's the same year that Sean Penn won Best Actor for Milk over Mickey Rourke for The Wrestler. And what bothered me about it so much was that I'd seen Milk. I thought Milk was a pretty decent movie. I didn't think it was great. Didn't think it was bad. I thought it was fine. Not Gus Van Sant's best. Not Sean Penn's best. Not anyone involved. Maybe the best work in that movie might be Brolin, I guess. But I just thought, one, Sean Penn already has one. Like, within the last few years at that time, he had one already. And he likely has the opportunity, like, Sean Penn is a person who's going to get other chances to get some of these kind of crazy parts if he wants them. You know, that's Sean Penn. People really respect him for whatever reason. I was like, Mickey Rourke's not fucking getting anything like this ever again. And while I was wrong in that Sean Penn hasn't made a movie where he would get like an Oscar since, I was wrong about that. I figured he would still kind of be doing that. Mickey Rourke, that was it for that guy. You know what I mean? Like, Mickey Rourke has never again, and likely will never again, make something that is of the caliber of his performance as Randy the Ram Robinson. And he got completely, like, it's one of those things where I don't think it's like a participation trophy thing or you should just get this, like, oh, you deserve it. It's not like that. It's just come the fuck on. You know what I mean? Like, can't we just look at this and go, not them this time? You know, like, like if you were like some unknown actress and you had this marvelous movie you were in or something, and this is your fucking only time you're ever going to be competing with these heavyweights like this, and then at the end of the night they're like, oh, we're going to give it to Meryl Streep. Like, oh, Meryl Streep's a great actress. We're going to give it to Meryl Streep for Florence Foster Jenkins. And then you're like, really? Really? Does she need? Okay, all right. You know, like that's how I think it would feel. So seeing that Emma getting her second Best Actress award, like after getting the one for La La Land, which is, I don't even think that great a performance. And I like La La Land. I'm not a La La Land hater. I like La La Land. I was just like, this is just bullshit. I don't like it. Whatever. But I wasn't worked up. I didn't want to go rant at people. I didn't want to go join the chorus of like all the, conversations about representation and diversity and stuff. I was like, it's the Oscars, dude. I don't even have the energy for this shit anymore. I just thought Lily was really good, and I wish that she got to get the fucking award. Like, that's literally all it was. It was just, I think it would have been cool. I think it would have been nice. And that kind of bummed me out. But that's it. Everything else, I was like I remember I was telling people, like, I don't even care if they give Best Actor to Bradley Cooper. Like, he clearly wants it really bad. Like, just let him have it at this point. I don't think it's a big deal. I thought that Nolan winning Best Director and Best Picture was a huge thing. I'll talk about, so I rewatched Oppenheimer the other night, so I will talk about that much later, obviously, on the pod when I talk about what I watched, but so I'm not going to get too deep into Oppenheimer, but I thought it was really cool. Like, I like Nolan. I think he's a very great filmmaker. I think he's really talented. He's, been a fave of mine since I was like a teenager. In a way, this is sort of like a bit of a vindication for a certain kind of like film bro who like idolizes him. Do you know what I mean? Him getting an Oscar, and like being respected on that level and getting Best Picture. Like, that's a huge deal. And, I like Nolan. I think he rules and stuff. And I have a lot of thoughts about the movie that I'll talk about later, but I just remember thinking, like, that's nice. Like, Oppenheimer sweep, that's not bad. Like, that's pretty nice. Like, that's nothing to get mad about. Like, none of the movies nominated for Best Picture that I saw were movies that I was like, oh, this is bullshit. Like, why is that there? Maestro, I was kind of close to that. But even that, I was like, I mean, some people like that shit, like, it wasn't awful. I didn't hate watching it. There was stuff I liked in it. No, that's fine. Whatever. Maybe not for me. So, but Oppenheimer winning was like, that's cool. It just feels kind of right, like that and Killers of the Flower Moon are probably like, have been fighting back and forth for my movie of the year last year. So like, it's fine, but, it was, I thought this was a good year, but it did not feel like necessarily like an exciting year. Like the year before last, I remember like my movies of the year were like The Batman and like Decision to Leave and like RRR. So that was a crazy year. It was like a lot of wild stuff made it to my top. You know what I mean? This year was much more like, oh yeah, a bunch of directors I like all had new movies out and I liked them all. Great. Cool. But the one Oppenheimer thing I will talk about is that Robert Downey Jr. also vindicated. It felt like okay, going back to that Oscar year when The Dark Knight was not nominated for Best Picture, it feels like there have not been the only real like big, super honestly like populist win after. Wait, no, that wasn't after. That was before. Return of the King is before The Dark Knight, right? Like that won Best Picture and shuffles to phone, rushes to Google. Return of the King, that's fucking 2000. What? I'm crazy. I'm sorry. So yeah, since fucking that, there has not been like a populist sort of like movie of the people Best Picture, right? But Oppenheimer made a fucking $1 billion. It's critically acclaimed. It's commercially successful. It was culturally very relevant. All the memes and stuff. I apologize if I'm making it seem like having a bunch of memes is what is the zenith of cultural relevancy, but I'm just saying. It was in a way, this was like a vindication, I think, because it's like you have the biggest star of like the superhero movie era getting an Oscar finally, playing a real person again. You've got one of the most commercially successful directors of the era winning Best Director, winning Best Picture. Like, even though Oppenheimer is, quote unquote, a real movie and quote unquote, an adult movie, a serious movie, it is still made with and produced with some of the same kind of energy and appeal of the superhero movie. So in a way, it's like, yeah, this is like a more legit movie. It is real, but it's still like it's brawny in the way those movies can be. You know what I mean? Like it is something that like normies and non-film nerds can comfortably say is legit. And I think that's telling a little bit, I guess. You know, to me, I'm not sure what it's saying exactly, but you know, in a way it felt cool. But like Robert Downey Jr. won Best Supporting Actor for Oppenheimer for playing Lewis Strauss. And hey, deserved. I thought it was a great performance. It seemed very obvious from about halfway through that movie that he was going to get this award. It was just like, well, that's happening, you know? And yeah, hey, hats off to him. Really good performance. One of my favorite RDJ joints. But there was this moment that they had to like turn into a fucking thing online where I guess when he went up, I should also be clear that I didn't watch the Oscars. I was at work. So I just saw people were texting me winners and stuff like that. So I saw the video later when I got home on Twitter, that when Robert Downey Jr. went up to collect his award, he like kind of like snubbed Ke Huy Quan. And people were mad about it and kind of comparing it to like when Taylor Swift, I guess, snubbed, Celine Dion at the Grammys. And I remember just being like, what the fuck are you guys talking about? I just saw people being like really mad and just being like, this isn't fair. Like he's just so selfish and cocky and just ascribing all sorts of weird shit to this one little moment. And like, look, there's lots of shit that Robert Downey Jr. has said and done in his career that I would say like is much more worthy of like scorn. You know what I mean? Like he's said some shit that I don't agree with and whatnot. I'm not going to get into that, but like he won an award and he like took it from a guy and then went and gave his speech. And like, I guess it was a little bit rude maybe or whatever, but like then there's a bunch of pictures of them on the red carpet later hugging and shit. So I'm pretty sure it's cool. I'm pretty sure there's no beef. But in the every video, every post I saw about it, people were just like, this is just, I can't believe this. You know, I saw someone be like, why did you even win the award? Sterling K. Brown was right there. I'm like, Sterling K. Brown for American Fiction? Maybe my favorite performance in that movie. I like Sterling K. Brown a lot, but like, be so fucking for real right now. Like you're acting like he was snubbed. I'm amazed American Fiction got any Oscars, thing won, and was even nominated for this many fucking Oscars. So it just felt very weird to me that people were just like, oh, this is how, like, I don't know, acting like this was like this big terrible thing. And I'm like, I feel like a lot of these people have been sucking this man's meat through his fucking trousers for years for just winking and quipping at people. Now he's in a real movie and he's getting an award for it. And everyone's like, and this piece of shit, who does he fucking think he is? Being mean to the guy from Everything Everywhere All at Once, our favorite movie ever made. And I was just like, what the hell is this? And I saw a post specifically where someone was like, yeah, it's RDJ's moment, but it's his too. You know what I mean? Like it's an important passing of the torch, the previous year's winner giving the award to the new year's winner. And I was like, it is not his moment. He won last year. He has a fucking Oscar. It was a big deal. It was great. That happened already. You don't, it's not like you also get to fucking be a part of this shit when I win too. Like, what the fuck? And people are like, look, he was so sincerely enthusiastic about it. He was so excited. I don't fucking care. What does that have to fucking do with anything? Like, that is a grown man. He is 52 years old. That is a grown fucking man. And these people are just infantilizing him. Like, oh God, he's such a sweet being, innocent baby. And they're just, look at how he's being, that is 50 fucking 2 years old. 50 fucking 2. Okay, I'm sorry. He is 52. A grown ass man. Like y'all did this shit with Brendan Fraser last year too. Just like fucking, just like this weird, like noble savage energy people throw at him. Just like, oh look, he's just so, like what the fuck is wrong with you people, dog? Like that guy is a grown ass adult. And then they hugged it out later anyway. So like who fucking cares? It drives me crazy when this stuff happens because I remember people were doing the same thing about Taylor Swift. I'm like, how doing that to Celine Dion? What a great singer. Do you think Celine Dion even gave a fucking shit? Do you think she was just like, can't believe that bitch? Or do you think she just continued being like, I'm Celine Dion, I'm gonna go do some runs? Do you know what I mean? Like, what the fuck? Like, what do you? It just, oh my God, it like really flabbergasted me because I was like, this is what happens in a year where there's not a green book. Okay. You got it. I'm starting to understand it now. Oscars, I think I get it. The Academy, you have to give people some fucking red meat. You have to throw some chum in the water. There has to be a heel. There has to be someone to boo. And if there's not a genuine heel to boo, if you can't all get together and go, Green Book is trash, this is the worst, I fucking hate it, then you got to end up doing shit like this. You got to be mad at Robert Downey Jr. for not hugging someone fast enough. You know, like every time they give us like a winner that makes everybody happy, it's like, kind of missing something here. You know what I mean? Like, oh, Parasite won, that's cool. Like, you know, they gave it to this movie. Every time a pretty good movie has won, it's like, I like it when they don't win. I like it when I'm mad. I like it when we're being disenfranchised by these voters. You know what I mean? Like, look, if you want that feeling, watch the Grammys. They got you covered. But, you know, the Oscars, they pick a movie. A lot of the Best Picture winners are garbage or forgettable or like whatever. But like, maybe we need to give them that. Because if they don't, we have this. We have people just losing their shit over like perceived slights by rich people that you don't fucking know, that you're not fucking friends with. You know what I mean? It's just, I'm sorry, that shit really like irked the fuck out of me. I was like, what are we doing? I cannot believe this. I'm sure they fucking hung out later at the fucking after parties or whatever. Maybe they made out. I don't know. But from anger to sadness, we're going to talk about the only other news item this week that matters. And that is that the Batman Part 2, I don't know what the fuck they're calling it. The new Batman movie with Robert Pattinson and directed by Matt Reeves and whoever the fuck else is going to end up being in this thing, had its release date moved. It's not coming out until October of 2026. And I don't know what I'm going to do, really. Like, I mean, we've been here before, man. When it got moved, the first one got moved because of the pandemic and everything. I remember thinking, there's no way I can wait this long for this fucking movie. 2021, that is so far away. Or 2022? It ended up coming out in what fucking, oh my God, time is so warped, man. Yeah, at the time I thought there's no way I could make it to that. Like, I apologize. I'm really realizing that I'm kind of like out loud making, it sounds really dark, that I'm like, how am I going to live without a movie? So I apologize for that. It's probably maybe like mildly triggering for somebody. But, you know, I'm a person who, I am a person who looks forward to like new releases for things. Like sometimes I really am just like, look, things are not going great, but if we can just make it to this movie, we'll be all right. Because then by that time, when you go see that movie, there'll be a trailer for another one. Like, oh shit, well now I gotta wait for, you know, whatever. 2026 is crazy, dog. That's like fucking, that is 2.5 years away from now, right now. That's fucking nuts. And I get it. Okay. Like they had the strike, you lost the stuff. And like, hey, on the other hand, I actually kind of respect that they're not just like rushing it to meet a date. Right. Cause that's worse. It sounds like the fucking script isn't even done. So I'm glad they want to make it good. They want to make it right. That's fine. That's actually a positive thing. I don't want to give them shit for that, but dog, come on, like, please. I don't want to wait that long, man. I literally spent all day yesterday telling myself, like, well, maybe they'll rally. I don't know. Maybe like the script will come together pretty fast because there's not that deadline looming, and then they'll be like, fuck it, we'll move it back. That's not going to happen, obviously. But I'll lie to myself a little bit longer, you know? I mean, fuck. I want that movie so bad. There's nothing else coming out that I'm that excited about. I'm like dead ass. I can't think of anything else that I'm like, oh, I have to have this. I don't care about anything Marvel's doing. I guarantee there's like 7 new Steven Soderbergh movies coming out sometime this year that he's already filmed that he hasn't announced yet. So I have that going for me. But the Batman Part 2 was like the main, and then I guess Doom Messiah whenever that happens. But I mean, like, I just, that's the one for me. You know what I mean? Like, I want to be excited about Superman and stuff, but who knows? You know what I mean? Like, this is a thing where I feel like it's guaranteed to be heat. It's guaranteed to be a heater. And I just want it, man. I just want it real bad. That's all. I just really want it. And part of me is wondering if like we're going to end up in some kind of crazy world where like The Brave and the Bold comes out first or something. You know what I mean? Like where we're going to get, I don't know, whatever fucking Jensen Ackles Batman movie or whatever is going to happen. And wondering if that might be good. Like if that it might end up being nice to like give people the whatever weird, bright Batman movie, whatever the fuck they're going to do, and then go back to like, all right, but the real is back. Robert Pattinson's here. You know, that could happen. maybe. Ugh. Let's talk about what I watched. What I watched this week. I only watched 3 movies, like I said. And I watched... Okay, I'm actually wrong. I'm sorry. Technically, I watched 4 movies. My last 4 watched on Letterboxd is so cursed to people, I guess. Let me pull this shit up. I watched This Is Me Now, the Jennifer Lawrence, what the fuck? I'm sorry, Jennifer Lopez. It's kind of late while I'm recording this. I gotta stop doing that. I gotta stop recording at night. It's the worst. Jennifer Lopez, and This Is Me Now, her sort of like vanity project visual album thing for her new album. And then I watched The Greatest Love Story Never Told, the documentary about the production of that film. And then I rewatched Oppenheimer on Peacock, as Nolan intended, streaming it through Peacock on my MacBook screen. And then today, a few hours ago, I watched Driveway Dolls. So we're going to talk about all those, some longer than others. So This Is Me Now, the Jennifer Lopez project. I got to be clear about some things. I have a major soft spot for Jennifer Lopez, and it's not like, oh, I think she's hot or whatever. It's not that. I fully acknowledge that her talent levels are out of sync with what people... She's kind of like not a great singer. She's not like a great lots of stuff. But I think that sometimes people want to knock her down so many pegs for like the lip syncing and stuff like that, that they... You know how someone can be overrated, and people call them overrated, but they get called that so much that they become underrated? I think that's Jennifer Lopez to me, because sometimes she's pretty damn good in movies. Like I think like Out of Sight is fucking incredible. I love Hustlers, the movie. That's probably the last time I was really mad at the Oscars, when J-Lo didn't even get in the nomination and didn't even like that. I thought that performance was marvelous. I still love it. It's one of my favorite things in movies ever. If you want to understand like the kind of weird connection I have to Jennifer Lopez, is that Hustlers just makes me cry like if I like think about it too much. Like if I like if it's on and someone's asking a question about it and I start explaining it, I have to stop before I get to the ending, because if I start talking about the ending, I'll tear up. Like I weird movie to get emotionally triggered by, but that's me. That's you guys know, you know what you're here for. So I fuck with Jennifer Lopez, and my friends already watched this and talked about how terrible it was. When I logged This Is Me Now, as I was watching The Greatest Story Never Told, Pat came in the group chat and was like, why did you do it? Like, why did you do this? You know, like you didn't have to do this. It felt like when Duncan Idaho's like shutting the door on them to go die. They were like, why are you? We warned you. This Is Me Now is like trash. This Is Me Now is like fucking horrendous. It is a like hour-long thing that's stitching together. Like it's essentially watching like 9 music videos back to back from her new album This Is Me Now, the sequel to the album This Is Me that came out when she was first dating Ben Affleck, or like around the time Geely was made and stuff like that. An album that has like no good... That's not true. The best song on This Is Me Now, or sorry, the best song on This Is Me, the original album, is Baby I Love You, which is like the Ben Affleck I Love You song. I think that song is great. It's okay that no one really agrees with me. I love it. But, you know, Jennifer Lopez is musically had a lot of really great hits that are not... She's not really the reason they're great hits. But like you can't front on Waiting for Tonight. You can't front on If You Had My Love. Those videos too were pretty like iconic. Like I'm not gonna go there. This, however, almost all the music is terrible. Pretty bad songs. It is, however, fiercely autobiographical. So the plot is basically that Jennifer Lopez is playing herself, but not really. She's just called the artist, and she's unlucky at love. And there's a council of Zodiac things, like the Zodiac Council, who are like trying to look over her and steer her to happiness. And the entire project, this entire thing is like a vanity thing. So it's just other celebrities that are in it, but there's no rhyme or reason who or how they are. Like Post Malone is one of the Zodiac people. Keke Palmer, Neil deGrasse Tyson, which is crazy because like he fucking hates the even abstract idea of astrology. Jane Fonda is in one of them, and like I thought was very funny is that like if you can pick all your celebrity friends, it'd be cool, not cool, but it would make sense if you got your celebrity friends to like embody specific signs in your weird music video movie that they were, right? And no, like none of the people actually correspond to their real signs. As presented earlier in the episode, I'm a person who will stay up until 3 a.m. looking for a TikTok. I'm also the person who will search celebrity birth charts while I'm watching a movie if astrology is brought up, because I'm curious if they line up in some way. So, like, for instance, there's a scene where, like, Fat Joe plays her therapist. I'm sorry, there's multiple scenes where Fat Joe plays her therapist. And she talks about him being a Taurus, I think. He's like, oh, I'm a Taurus. And Fat Joe is a Leo. And, like, so is she. So I thought, I was like, that's kind of weird. I feel like if you're going to keep talking about astrology ends up being a key part of the story. So I just thought it was weird that it was, maybe no one else thinks it's weird, but the whole thing is like, she's unlucky at love. Every relationship falters. She's a serial monogamist. She gets married multiple times. And each of the failed loves is a different zodiac sign. So it's like, oh, now she's with this. Like, she dates like a Libra in the middle of it, who wears like a rope harness and drinks a lot and like abuses her. And like, but it's like in like they depict the domestic abuse as like part of like a dance number. It's very strange. So then that made me realize like, wait, this is very really autobiographical. Then like, are all of these signs corresponding to actual exes of hers? And then I went through there and like, no, all of her exes, her famous exes, or like her most known exes were not like, didn't correspond with any of this stuff. So I'm like, oh, I guess she's just taking a lot of liberties here. I don't know why I was trying to solve this shit like it's a puzzle. Like I was just gonna like go back and understand everything about Jennifer Lopez's personal life through this vanity music video project she made with Dave Meyers, the guy that did like all of Missy Elliott videos and stuff. But it's very corny. It's very cringy at times. Most of the music is not very good. It looks not great. But there is kind of like a little bit of charm to it. Like I can't take away from that, where it's like, you can tell that whatever this is important to her. You know what I mean? And it sucks, like for sure. It's not good. It is bad. And so is the album. And, but I'm glad that I watched these two companion pieces in this order, because I really did like the documentary about it. And I'll talk about that in a second. But I watched this first and I was like, this is fucking awful. Then you're watching this documentary and it's like a very, I think, largely serious, pretty emotionally raw look at someone making something and seeing how much like they're putting into it, but knowing already what it's going to turn into. There was some discourse recently about, what's the fucking YouTube? There's a couple of YouTube film critics who are very successful and I don't like them, and people think I don't like them because I'm jealous, but I just don't think they're very good. Chris Stuckman had a video, not a bad guy, I'm not a fan. Stuckman had a video about Madame Web, and instead of like really reviewing it or shitting on like everybody else was doing, he was like, now that I've actually made film projects before, I know that it's very hard to get anything made and I just want to be more, and it was like, it felt very like weird and safe, and people being like, dude, grow up. Like, you're a film critic. If you don't like something, you don't like something. You don't have to like give these people like a pat on the back for like a college try or something. But I didn't fundamentally disagree with that, because I also don't like dunking on people for fun or like shitting on things just because I don't like it. I try to be fair and have some measure of empathy for artists, even bad ones. But I feel like this movie really cleanly reminds people that even something that sucks takes a lot of hard work. You have to put a lot into it. And then sometimes it's still garbage, and I was really into this thing though. And there's a big reason why. And that is because I really like Ben Affleck. In the list of people on earth who like Ben Affleck, I'm number 3 behind Jennifer Lopez and then Matt Damon. Matt Damon's number 1. He's always number 1. There's nothing she's going to be able to do as a wife to supplant his place as bestie. So like, I'm right behind J-Lo. Like, we're pretty close, me and her, in loving Ben. So her making this big, awful, expensive monstrosity about how much she loves Ben Affleck. I get it. I was like, me too, twin. You know what I mean? Like, I've made a lot of content where I am defending Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice with my fucking life for Ben Affleck. So I understand, sis. But it's like a shitty documentary too. Like, I can't take that away from it, but I really liked watching it. Something about, if it had just been a thing solely about their relationship and like how they work together and what they're like, it would, I think, be very fascinating. And I don't think anyone would have to call it a guilty pleasure or explain why they liked it. Cause it's interesting. It's very fascinating to me. Their relationship is interesting. Like, she really likes, you know, like the limelight and stuff, and he doesn't. And you can tell that he is making an effort to be a part of that side of her life, even though he doesn't like it, because he knows it would be unfair to ask her not to. Do you know? Like, there's a lot of maturity, in my opinion, to the way to the way their relationship looks. We don't know these people in real life. I don't know. They could be terrible behind closed doors. It's all artifice. But the narrative, the myth around their relationship is something that I just kind of think it's cute, man. Like, I think these two hot young people got together. They made one really terrible movie and then one movie that's like not that bad. And people need to be nicer to Jersey Girl. And then they broke up, and then they got back together, and they seem, you know, really happy. Like, I mean, I know people always show all the memes of Ben Affleck looking depressed, but like, he seems pretty happy. Like, he's married to Jennifer Lopez. He seems fine. And watching, I think the thing that was cutest about it is that he's like helping her work on this stuff. There's like a scene of them on a couch. He's got his MacBook, and she's got her iPad Air and her little magic keyboard that she just carries with her the whole movie. She does everything on an iPad. I don't know. I thought that was like cute. And she's just like trying to work on stuff or ideas, and he's like helping her. And like, you know, he's written screenplays before. He's got an Oscar for writing a screenplay with someone he loves already, so he knows how to do this. And he's directed movies, and she's not directing this, but she's behind all this. But the way it sets up the story is like, she has this whole rollout planned. Like, she has this new album. She's revisiting this other album in her life, and it's like she's finally sharing her real story. People don't really care. It's just like more detail to the I was from the Bronx and now I'm rich stuff. But to her, it's very important getting the stuff out, I guess. And they have this whole thing lined up to finance the production of the album, the production of the video project with the album, and then this documentary about the making of both. And very early in the documentary, whoever was financing it just pulled the money. And then she's like, fuck it, I'll finance myself. So she financed this monstrosity with her own money. And then throughout the process, you have to see people around her trying to like protect her from Dave Meyers being like, yeah, we'll add another shooting day. And it's like, if you add another shooting day, it's another $250,000 of her money. And he's like, I don't want to talk about this. And like, it just shows you a bunch of like funny production stuff. That stuff is always entertaining to me. And it's just very interesting seeing someone who's never made a movie this way, never made something like this, having to do it. And you see her trying to like get celebrities to do it, and them all making up that they're busy. And she's like, I know they're not really busy. I know they just don't want to do it. And she's like, and when I get a script that I want to fucking make, I tell people I don't like it or it doesn't work for me. I don't lie and say I'm busy. And I thought that was very fascinating that she was just like, if you don't think it's good, that's cool. You don't have to lie to me. I don't care. And I was like kind of inspired a little bit, I guess, by that. I was like, I like this attitude. There's a really great part where she calls Jane Fonda to be involved, and they explain that her and Jane Fonda are like besties from when they made Monster-in-Law. I want to be besties with Jane Fonda. I fucking love Jane Fonda. And there's like the part where Jane figures out that she's self-financing this, and she's like, girl, this is not, I've been around, don't do this. And everyone's like, don't spend your own money on this. And she's like, there's a little cuts to her at one point, and she's like, people keep telling me I don't have to do this. I know I don't have to do this. I want to do this. And I was like, yeah, you know what? Fuck it. That's art, right? You just do your thing. And I just ended up finding it very entertaining. The best thing I can say about it is like, there's two things that came out of this for me. One is that I was watching this right around the time the new Ariana Grande album dropped. I thought it was really mediocre. And I was like, look, in terms of, you know, occasionally racially ambiguous songstresses making odes to their love of, you know, white boy actors, she won this one. I'm sorry. Like, I don't think this album's really good, but this documentary is rad. I think it's considerably better than having to watch Ariana Grande speak in like a fake whispery transatlantic accent to soften the blow of having stolen a pregnant lady's boyfriend who looks like a weirdo or whatever. So something about it, I ended up valorizing it by giving it one of the coveted star ratings on Letterboxd. I think I've only given like maybe like 20 star ratings on Letterboxd. I've logged 3,000 movies. Only 20 have stars. Good ones or bad ones. And I gave The Greatest Love Story Never Told 5 stars. It is one of 13 5-star movies I've logged on Letterboxd. And I think it's in great company. I really genuinely had a blast watching it. I felt very strongly about it, and sure, some of those, at least one of those stars is an irony star, maybe 4 of them. But I don't know. I think it's really sweet, and I sort of think if you do get the urge to watch it out of more of a curiosity, I think you should watch the end product first. Because if you watch that whole thing and then you watch what she made, you're going to be like, what the fuck? But if you watch it, if you know that going in, that kind of makes it a special experience. At least it did for me. So then I rewatched, not right after, I think a different night this week. This week's been kind of a blur. I rewatched Oppenheimer because I saw that it was on Peacock. It was like right after the Oscars, I think, actually. I think I watched it like right after. Or I might have watched it during Monday Night Raw. Fuck, I don't remember. But I watched it recently. A couple days ago. And I'd seen it, so I saw it in 70mm at a press screening originally before I reviewed it. Then I saw it again at the Alamo Drafthouse on the Big Show screen. And I think I talked about that on one of the early episodes of the podcast, so back in season 1. And I wanted to rewatch it now that it was Best Picture. And I'm happy to report that, like, to me, when I was growing up, Nolan movies, I liked them so much because they had so much replay value. Like, I'd seen Memento so many times, and every time you rewatch Memento, it still rules. Every time you rewatch Insomnia, it still holds up. Every time you rewatch The Prestige, oh my god. Batman Begins, you only get a couple of watches out of that one. Dark Knight, I mean, I've seen fucking 400 times or whatever. Somewhere around, I want to say Inception probably, is when I started to notice that, like, oh, if I rewatch these, I'm not going to like them as much. Like, the 4th time I watched Inception, I was kind of like, I came back around on it later, but for a little bit, you know. I think he got that mojo back for me with Tenet, because Tenet, every time I watch it, gets better. Every time. And I'm still really mad that I missed the theatrical re-release, but I remember that I work in a movie theater, and on any day that I want to, I can go just like plug my MacBook into a projector and watch it by myself. So I'll probably do that sometime soon. But Oppenheimer, every time I rewatch it, it moves up further in my Nolan rankings. I really dig it. I really, really like it. I think the pace is so unique. Off-putting to some people for sure. And here's the thing. I think the thing that a lot of people call its greatest weakness, to me, is maybe its greatest strength. And that is that the movie is extraordinarily palatable to people who do not want to watch movies like this. You know what I mean? Like, I've seen some people be like, yeah, Oppenheimer is, fuck all those superhero movies, this is a real movie. And I'm like, some of the reason it's as successful as it is because it's not very different. The entire first act is very much structured like a superhero origin movie. But what I like about it is that it does so many things really well. Like, the entire first hour of the movie obviously is like this kind of like breathless origin for this, like, you know, mythical historical figure. The entire middle hour is like, kind of looks like a Western, but it feels like a heist movie. It has all this, like, you know, it just moves and moves and moves. And then the final hour, it has this like courtroom drama energy and stuff. And it's just cool that he managed to do so much of it together. I'm such a fan of the Nolan thing, the intercutting a bunch of stuff all at once thing that he does in every movie. Even when it's not done all that well, I like it. You know what I mean? And I think that making a movie about this type of topic and then also giving it sort of the brawniness of like a big muscular action tentpole thing, I think is, while other people call it a weakness or makes it seem like childish or something, I think that's actually not an easy thing to do, and I think it's pretty impressive. And I like that it is such a good, to me, depiction of like the Oppenheimer arc. And I feel like people, because of some of the, like the mythologizing that happens in the movie, I feel like a lot of people come out of it thinking that he's like, a lot of people come out of the movie thinking Nolan thinks Oppenheimer was rad and that atomic bombs are cool. And I don't know how that happened to people. It's to me very like silly. Seeing, so once it won Best Picture, I started to see a lot of people saying all sorts of stuff and being like, you know, I still think it's horrible they didn't show stuff about that what happened to the Japanese. And it's like, look, this is not, almost every criticism I found of Oppenheimer is like, I wanted this to be a different movie, and that's cool. Like, you can make multiple movies about this its history, right? This specific movie, this specific story, for what it is, I think is incredible. I love the way so much of the second half of the movie is about delayed consequences, sort of like that shot when they do the Trinity test, and like in the actual like blast and the wind and stuff hits them like later because of the delay or whatever. The way that moment is essentially what happens with everything else. Do you know what I mean? Like, it takes him a while to fully realize like really which is, I guess even saying that it took him a long time to figure it out in some way has like a hagiographic tone to it, because you're implying like, dude, you really didn't fucking get what was going on until later for real, you know. That kind of is like, you know. But when you watch it, I don't know how people can come out of it thinking like, oh, they make him like he's this great man. They make him, he's like a wishy-washy, like politically mixed up whore. He's just like a really smart slut. Like, that is a dude who was just fucking his friends' wives and changing his sort of political allegiance on a dime. And, you know, as a theoretical physicist, was always just doing stuff that was like in this lofty area that he never had to really pin down to real shit. Like, I think it's a fascinating portrait, and I don't think anyone comes out of it like thinking he fucking rules. Like, the line on this viewing that stuck with me, that I was like, oh yeah, this is it. This is the shit. Is one of my favorite scenes of the movie is when Gene Tatlock dies. Florence Pugh's character, his like other love person, and you know, they say that she drowned, but in Oppenheimer's mind, when he pictures it, they keep having these shots of a black gloved hand holding her under the water, implying that like the government or the CIA or whoever had her killed for being subversive and being close to him, right? So it's like he sees that way, as like that could have happened. And it really reminds me of Brokeback Mountain, when Ennis finds out that Jack is dead, and Jack's wife, Anne Hathaway's character, is telling him that he passed, and she's saying one thing, but then Ennis is picturing him being like hate crimed, and you don't know if that's what really happened or if that's what Ennis is imagining because he doesn't think she's telling the truth. And I liked that sort of thing where it's almost like it doesn't matter, right? Like, it doesn't matter which is true, but you feel what that character is feeling in that moment. And that's how I felt about Oppenheimer. It's like, yeah, it doesn't really, if the government killed her or if she killed herself, both ways he looks at it as being his fault, you know? And I mean, maybe he's right. So, but in that scene, when his wife, Emily Blunt's character, finds him and he's like just sobbing and can't explain what's going on, and it's like he's also confessing that he cheated on her, but it's like, I cheated on you, but I feel really bad because then she died, and she has like the way Emily Blunt sells this moment of like, this motherfucker's cheating on me, oh, and she's dead, and now he wants me to fucking comfort him. The fuck. And that line where she says, you can't commit the sin and then expect the rest of us to feel sorry for you. I love that moment. Like, I love it because that's the rest of the fucking movie. I know people say, oh, well, like they have that line, but then that's what the whole rest of the movie is. Like, you're trying to make people feel sorry for him. And it's like, that's not really what's happening. I mean, like, yeah, they also, I think the fact that Nolan centered so much stuff around straws and like that whole dichotomy thing, I think from a thematic viewpoint, there could be a potentially better version of Oppenheimer that doesn't have all that stuff in it, that would be less thematically muddled to people, I think. because Strauss is such an easy villain at the end that it does kind of, make you like Oppie maybe more than you need to at the end, right? But I get why Nolan was so fascinated by that because that literally opens up the way of doing the structure of this movie, of the concentric circles of different timelines and all this stuff. So like from an egghead structure type person that he is, it's like I get it. He could how could he have left that on the table? You know what I mean? He had to do that. So I don't mind. And I think, and also got Robert Downey Jr. an Oscar, and that stuff looks very good in the movie. Like I fuck with it. But the whole movie is like him trying to like use this like Red Scare apparatus to beat himself up and like flog himself. And like dude, it's not going to make these people come back to life. It's not going to make you fucked the entirety of civilization, essentially. Like you helped create something that is like everyone is doomed. Like that's the entire, I think, concept of the movie. It's like everyone is doomed, and they're doomed because the person who they put in charge of the shit, despite being very brilliant, had like no scruples, had like no convictions, and like that's how he was able to do this. You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of fun watching Cillian Murphy go from being like this wide-eyed like kind of kid to being like this like very patriotic like rah guy to being like, oh, I fucked up. Oh, I fucked up so bad for like an hour. You know what I mean? I don't know. I know people have their feelings about Oppenheimer. I think they're all valid. I'm not saying anyone that didn't like the movie's wrong or anything like that, but I really liked it more than ever on this viewing. It's saw it in 70mm, saw it really big, and then saw it on Peacock, and that was the one that unlocked it for me. I just needed to watch it a few inches from my face, in bed. But honestly, I think this is one of the best picture winners in my lifetime. I think I made a little top 5 in my head, and my favorite best picture winners since I've been alive are this: Silence of the Lambs, The Departed, No Country for Old Men, and Parasite. So this is like a good year, I think. Like, hey, we got a good one. So that's nice. And then only movie I watched this week was Driveway Dolls. And I wanted to see it because, like, I love the Coen brothers. I think most people do, right? And I equally love their like very sad movies and their very funny movies, their scary movies and their goofy movies. I like the mixture of the two. I really want to rewatch Inside Llewyn Davis. I haven't done that in a minute, and I fucking love that movie. My favorite movie there is probably Miller's Crossing. Llewyn Davis is up there, top 5 easily. I don't think they have bad movies. You know what I mean? I never made it all the way through the Tom Hanks Lady Killers, but most of their movies to me are pretty great. Since the soft breakup of the brothers of Joel and Ethan, we got Joel's Tragedy of Macbeth with Denzel Washington, this black and white adaptation of Macbeth. And it's like fine. I thought it was like pretty well made. It's like gorgeous. It's shot very well. It's framed. Everything about it is like pretty good. The acting's great. And it's like Shakespeare. It's pretty good. But it felt kind of like, I don't want to call it lifeless. That's not very fair. But it just didn't do it for me. It didn't really scratch the itch. This is good. I like this, but I don't fucking care. I may never watch it again in my entire life. People wanted, when they saw the trailer for Driveway Dolls, it was like, oh, okay, so Joel's the serious one, Ethan's the funny one. And it's not that simple. I think there are 2 things at play here that are important. One is that I imagine that together, when the 2 are working together, it is not that simple that one's the serious one and one's the funny one. Although, having seen both of these movies now, it is clear that I think Joel is probably the better director, or at least maybe just the better at visuals, better at blocking, staging, stuff like that. He's probably the good one in that duo on that. But that I do think that Ethan, I doubt that Joel doesn't share Ethan's sense of humor or sensibilities and stuff. Do you know what I mean? So I don't really like the idea that people are like, oh, Ethan's the goofy one and he's the serious. Like, it's kind of not wrong, I guess, but it's not the whole picture. But the other part of that is, as much people are talking about, like, this is showing us the real Ethan, is that Joel made that movie with his wife. Frances McDormand's in it. I don't think she helped Shakespeare write Macbeth. So that's kind of like a singular thing. But like this one, Ethan directed, but he wrote it with his wife, Trisha Cook. They were like 20 years ago, and I guess it's set in like 1999, so they didn't have to like update it for now, I guess, or much. And it's weird to say, well, this is Ethan and this is Joel. It's like, well, Joel adapted a Shakespeare play. Ethan made something with his wife. It's as much a collaboration with his wife as his other movies are a collaboration with his brother. So, like, I think the unique energy of Drive Away Dolls is not like, well, now we know what Ethan's like. It's like, well, we know what Ethan's like when he's working with his wife versus his brother. And obviously you could do forensic analysis of these films and pick and choose what makes you think of what parts of the Coen brothers. You know, there's a little Raising Arizona here. There's a little bit of this there. Some of this stuff clearly ended up in Burn After Reading, you know, that you can do that. But I think it's a little reductive to be like, this is the Joel, this is the Ethan. And Trisha is clearly involved. Like, she edited the movie too. You know what I mean? Like, it's not that different than the other collaborations, I think. I wasn't there in the room with them, but I get the vibe that it's pretty, I'd imagine, pretty collaborative. You and your wife making a movie together. But the energy is very different, obviously. Like, maybe 5 minutes into the movie, I was like, this actually looks kind of like dog shit. Like, the lighting choices were very strange. I didn't think, like, it took a little bit for the movie's timing to start working on me. Because the Coen Brothers movies all have, like, I think a very specific timing and a specific pace that's, like, very unique to them. And anytime something is, like, not with them, like when they worked on rewriting Bridge of Spies for Spielberg, like, it's a Spielberg movie, but you can feel a little bit of them in it. When you watch fucking Suburbicon or whatever, you can tell this is wrong. But this is a very different, like, time signature, I guess. And eventually I got into it and I liked it. It's very screwball. It's like a queer sex comedy road trip movie. I thought it was enjoyable. The main thing I didn't like about the movie is that some of the comedies is not funny at all to me. And then that Margaret Qualley has a really bad Southern accent is one of the leads. And I don't know. I saw a review where someone's like, oh, it's like she's doing an impression of her mother. And I'm like, have you ever fucking watched a movie with Andie MacDowell in it? She doesn't sound like that fucking at all. In fact, she doesn't sound like any Southern people I've ever seen in my life in this movie. So I don't know where this fucking accent came from, but it's consistent at least. And I think the performance overall is, like, really interesting. And I liked it. I like Margaret Qualley. But man, to listen to her was, like, kind of difficult. But I thought the performances in the movie were mostly pretty good. Joey Slotnick is in this movie as, like, a bald, like, henchman type person. And there was, like, a very out of character turn for him, sort of, for me. I've never seen him hold a gun before in a movie, I guess, you know. So I liked it. I liked it. It's only like 82 minutes. It's very short. It's a very, like, freewheeling, horny little movie, and I enjoyed it. But it's very much like it feels very slight. And I feel like Tragedy of Macbeth is probably a better movie of their split, but I could see myself rewatching Drive Away Dolls in the future. Like, if this was rerunning on TV, I'd watch it pretty much any time. I'd probably give it a shot again. Because even the parts of it that are not as good or make you kind of miss the Coens working together, it's still enjoyable for the most part. You know what I mean? So I think the thing that made the movie work for me is it's very sweet. There's a tenderness to it that I really liked. And that sweetness overcame the parts that I thought were, like, goofy and repetitive. Like, it kind of takes a very special skill and energy to make a movie that's 82 minutes long and feels like it's a little over 2 hours. You know, like, the timing and energy on this movie is very strange. But I can see it catching on over the years. I can see this becoming a special movie for some people. Like, there's a couple of parts where I was like, why does this look like Sam Raimi made it in college? Why does it look like this? What are you guys doing? I know they've worked together before and they were friends and shit, but it still was just very, very strange. But I think it's worth watching. I mean, I think it's interesting to watch this as, like, a double feature with, like, Bottoms or something, where it's like, what is a modern young queer movie versus, like, a queer movie that was written 20 years ago by people who were older even then. So I think that's interesting, like, kind of seeing the differences where it's like the energy is probably relatable to, like, a lot of young queer people, but it's probably, you know, like the iconography, the, like, some of the, obviously, like, the wording and phrasing and stuff like that is going to be different. But I I thought it was fun. It was just funny when I went through Letterboxd to see what other people thought about it. How many people were not only didn't like it, but didn't like it in a way where they were like, fuck this. When I mean, there also were probably an equal amount of people going, whatever, it's fine. I mean, like, this is fine. You know, who cares? It's 80 minutes long. It's a nice little movie. Him and his wife already made another one, apparently, called Honey Don't, that Margaret Qualley is back for. And I think Chris Evans is in it, maybe? I don't know. But so I'm curious to see how that turns out. But the rumors of them working together, that Joel and Ethan again, that sounds great. Call your brother. I hope one of them saw the Iron Claw. Like, I saw a tweet that was like, one of them saw the Iron Claw and they had to call each other. I was like, I hope that if the Iron Claw brought the Coen brothers back together, that's worth it to me. But that's what I watched this week. So we got time for one question. Got a quizzy question from my friend Futura. I wrote this down as not your name. I wrote this down as Future. So I wrote Future asks. I was like, oh, Future's listening to the pod? No, this is better though. I miss Futura. Question for the next one. I liked that little rant you had about some actors being worse when they're hungry for that Oscar. Who's an... oh, wait, what the hell? Did I just write the same question from last time? Oh, wait, no. Here's why I did that. I'm sorry. I answered one of Futura's questions last week, but I did not answer it, like, for real. Like, I didn't really actually answer her real question. I went on a whole different rant. Question for the next one. I actually get to reuse part of my question from last time. You had a very good answer for who would be the best actors to get an Oscar for comedy, but I was actually asking who would be the best actors to win one for comedy value. That is, that them winning one would change nothing about their work, except you'd then get Walmart bargain bin DVD covers and YouTube movie trailers with Academy Award winner Larry the Cable Guy on it, or something. I mentioned Adam Sandler is the correct answer in this case because by all accounts he's still happy to Happy Madison for the rest of his life, but he also deserved the win for Uncut Gems. That's very fair. So yeah, oh, for sure. If I was going to give Adam Sandler, I mean, Uncut Gems is great as a performance, but Adam Sandler in like The Wedding Singer or Adam Sandler in Happy Gilmore are two of the funniest things ever to me. Honorable mention, Little Nicky. But in terms of like comedic performances that I think are great and should have won awards, you got like Steve Martin and The Jerk, I think for sure. I know people love like Will Ferrell and Anchorman and even like Talladega Nights and stuff, but I think Will Ferrell in The Other Guys is really special. I think The Other Guys in general is a really special comedy of the collaborations between Will Ferrell and his ex-best friend Adam McKay, and also honorable mention to Michael Keaton and the other guys. If there was best supporting actor for a comedic role, he 1,000% would get that. Those are like the ones that really stand out to me. It's like it's funny. A lot of people I named last time would also work for this. Like Eddie Murphy in Coming to America, I think is like, even though he's the straight man in that movie, he is so funny. Like it's so interesting to see a person where like his job is kind of to be like play everything straight, but the way he does it is still funny. Like so many things that happen once they get to like McDowell's in that movie, like just seeing this prince like fucking mopping and shit, like every little thing he does. Eddie Murphy's such a fucking dynamo, man. Like he's so great in that movie. Arsenio too, actually. Arsenio is very funny in that, in Coming to America. Those are, I guess if I had to also, for me, like a personal favorite, would be Chris Tucker and Friday. I think one of the reasons that all the Friday sequels don't feel quite right is that Mike Epps is just not Chris Tucker. Chris Tucker and, okay, my dream would be like Chris Tucker and Friday and Chris Tucker and Money Talks being nominated like in the same category, like the same year. I don't even think those movies came out the same year, but like in my mind, like if that was like when Soderbergh was up for Traffic and Aaron Brockovich, to me, that's the Chris Tucker. Money Talks is so funny to me. Like I still rewatch it all the time. And Tucker is just he's just off his rocker in the movie. And obviously his performance of Smokey and Friday is like coded. Yeah, that's what, as I'm saying this, I'm realizing that I'm not saying anything from the last like 10 or 15 years. And I can't think of any really good comedic performances since then. I also didn't name any women. Oh, you know what? Maybe this is a bit too recency bias, but like Jennifer Lawrence in No Hard Feelings is I would give her an Oscar for that movie over anything else she did, anything she won the Oscar actually for, because it's her timing and everything. It's a very funny performance. Really like that. This maybe be a little bit blasphemy. I even really liked Amy Schumer in Trainwreck. I thought that was actually the only good thing she's done with her entire career. Really like that. Yeah. We gotta bring good comedies back, man. There hasn't been a good comedy in fucking forever. It would be nice. It would be really nice. Thank you for that question, Fedor. That was really good. And I am sorry for completely misreading you last week. Yeah. Okay, well, that's the episode. If you are watching this on YouTube and you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. If you loved it, please subscribe. Hit the little bell icon to get notifications when I put out new content, new episodes of the show, new videos, whatever. And if you have any thoughts or things you want to share, you can put them in the comments below. I will respond, talk to you, anything you want. If you have questions for future episodes, you can put those in the comments as well, or you can find me on Twitter, Instagram, wherever, or you can email me at armchairauteur@gmail.com, and I will answer your questions on the show. Please, more questions. I love answering questions. Questions are so fun, because you see what happens when I'm coming up with my own topics, right? I talk about TikTok for 20 minutes. So yeah, if you're listening to this on any other audio platform, thank you for doing so. Thank you for making me a part of your morning commute to work, or the musical score to you eating Panera or whatever. I appreciate you bringing me into your world, into your life, and I hope that I am filling that space with pride and with love and stuff. So we'll talk soon.